Aloha. Welcome everyone. And thank you so much for being here. I'm Janin Johnston, and I have a special guest interview today, all the way from Australia. I am so excited. I get to interview my special guest, and I get to have a virtual Australian visit, and you get to have a virtual Hawaii visit today.
Thank
So
you, Janet. Yes.
yeah. And so I want to welcome my special guest. Her name is Lynn Jenkin. And what time is it over there right now in Australia?
It's just on 7:30 in the morning.
Wow. Okay. Well, Hawaii time right now, we are at 11:30 in the morning. So this is great. But you're 20 hours ahead. So thank you
Yeah.
so much for making this sacrifice. Okay, so before we start our wonderful interview and give you an opportunity to share your wonderful story, I'm going to read your bio. And here we go. So, Lynn Jenkin is a seeker of ideas, truths, facts, and solutions. Not content with a limited horizon, she works with her clients to explore the system and the reality and unearth the ways to maximize their contribution as a business, a team, or as an individual to the challenges and opportunities faced. Lynn's natural abilities have been enhanced over a career spanning teaching, research and practical science, accounting and business consulting. Working in the public, private, and not-for-profit sectors, she has constantly developed her deep analytical and empathetic people skills. She has robust experience facilitating workshops and collaborating in the implementation in the areas of vision, strategy, communication, and systemic change. After growing up in Europe, she has lived and worked in both Asia and Australia and has broad experience of working with different cultures, personalities, and systems. Her formal coaching skills have always been informed by her relationship with her horses, where communication cannot rely on words alone, and she has taken this into her work with individuals and teams. That's kind of the sum of it. And I love all of the accolades that you have, all these degrees. It's just fascinating too. But I'll have you share some of that in your story. This is so fascinating. It's going to be really interesting because I absolutely love horses. It's my favorite animal. And I used to take horseback riding lessons in intermediate school a long time ago. Now it's called middle school, but back then it was called intermediate school. So I'm going to absolutely love this interview. So, Lynn, please take us on a journey. I want you to be able to share your wonderful story of how you got to do what you're doing now. And even if you have to go all the way back to childhood, if necessary, I want you to do that. And in your story, share with everyone your why, the strong why of what you're doing and the impact that you want to make or that you are making, excuse me. Yeah. So welcome, Lynn.
Thank you, Janet, and lovely to be here. I did visit in person Hawaii many years ago. I was there for a conference, and we were obviously on the main island for a while, but then we went to Kauai for a while as well, which was absolutely lovely, which was much more my style because it was much
It's
more
a lot
relaxed.
slower. Yeah, relaxed.
Yeah. So that was great. So yeah, me. That I sounded amazing in that bio. I must have been really on fire when I wrote that one. And things have changed a little bit. In that a lot more of my work is more personal orientated now rather than business orientated. All of that's still true. We still do corporate and stuff, but concentrating a lot more on people, individuals, women, and life changes now. But I'll go right back to the beginning. So my father was in the British Army, so I had the first 18 years of my life, I didn't have a home base. I was born in Cyprus. I went from Cyprus to Germany to England. We were in what's now Yemen for a while. We were there in the 60s. And then we were, and that was it. I was only very young, obviously, but that was one of those. There was a lot of unrest and trauma going on when we were there. Then it was back to England, and then in my sort of teenage years, I was in Germany and Berlin, which was amazing. I mean, it's a beautiful city, and I love it. I loved my time there. Then it was back to England again. So this is constant. Every 2 years we moved. And I ended up in Borneo. So I'd finished school, and I was planning on going back to the UK to go to university, but things changed around that I actually stayed in Borneo for a couple of years in Brunei, and I worked there, and I was teaching maths or maths in English to the soldiers. So I was 18 years old when I started, and my youngest soldiers were probably 19 or 20, all the way through to 30, 35. And it was an interesting experience as a teacher, because I didn't have any problems with my class, because if they misbehaved, they could be put on report.
That's the best kind of class to have.
Exactly. And I used to coach the officer cadets as well, because that was a high level maths, because they went to the UK to do their officer training, whereas the soldiers used to go to Singapore. So this is why they needed to be proficient in English, because most of them, I wasn't teaching them maths that they didn't know, but they had to know how to do it in English because they'd learned in Malay. So after a couple of years there, my parents and I emigrated to Australia. My sister was already here, and they went back to Brunei for another 4 years and left me here to find a job and go to university and do all those things. And I met my husband when I was working at the university. So I met him when I was 20, just before my 21st birthday. And we're now coming up to next year's our 40th wedding anniversary. So,
wow, congratulations.
Yeah. Ooh, it went again. Yeah, so that's quite a big landmark. And my passion had always been science. I've this business. My curiosity is one of my it's one of my 5 core values, and it drives me, all of the time. And so science, I'd always wanted to work in equine science, but that didn't happen. But I ended up working in human science, and
very different animal.
Very different animal, but still what I was doing was it was lab work. I wasn't working with people. I was working with blood and tissue and, stuff that somebody else had got from people. So, and then I got to the point where I wanted to look at career progression, and to stay in the science field, it was quite limited. So in terms of opportunity, I didn't have I wasn't a PhD or a doctor or something like that. I just had a basic qualification. So I swapped and did my commerce degree, because I thought, I was working in a hospital at the time. I can go into HR in the hospital, career path. Somehow or other, I quickly dropped HR and did accounting instead, and which everybody finds hysterical, because I still can't add up. I taught maths. I did accounting.
It's interesting
I
how
still can't add up. I was renowned at school for proving this great big long theorem at high level maths, and then I'd get the answer wrong. because I couldn't add up. But that's why we have computers, so that's okay.
Thank goodness.
And so I swapped to doing my commerce degree and finished that. I was working at the Australian Institute of Sport at the time, running their biochem lab. And then we moved. We bought my husband's a pharmacist. So we bought a pharmacy in a little country town in 1990.
But it's still in Australia.
In Australia, yeah. So so we moved here, and part of that was horses had been part of my life as long as I can remember, but I had never been able to own one. So the constant moving as a child meant that I was never able to have one. So they were always this dream. And then I had a big gap in the middle where I wasn't riding or doing anything. So I actually bought my first horse when I was 25. So it took me, from like I've got the pictures and stuff behind me, but my whole wall when I was a child was papered with photos of horses, and I only read books about horses, and I used to read cowboy stories because there were horses in them. It was just like this obsession. But it was 25 when I first got my first.
That sounds great to me.
And because of that, we were looking to move to the country. So we bought this little pharmacy in this little town where we still live. Our population is just over 3,000. And we are an hour and a half from the coast and about 3.5 hours north of Sydney. So we're not.
So you're on the west side of Australia.
East.
Oh, east. Excuse me, east, right?
Yeah, east. Yeah. So the side closest to you.
Okay, I got that. I'll go there someday.
Yeah, when we're allowed out and you're allowed in, because they're still saying for us, at least it'll be next year at the earliest that we'll be allowed out. I guess, is it the same for you in Hawaii?
They're letting people in slowly, but you have to do a 2-week quarantine.
Yeah, that's same thing. And so there's stories going on. So the reason for moving to the country was so as we could have a farm and so that we could have the horses on the farm. And at that stage, I only had 2. And so we bought the farm where we live now. And now I have 22.
Oh, how fun.
So it kind of increased. And
well, so how many years, though, did it take from 2 to 22?
Well, we've been sitting around that 20 mark for probably about 8 or 9 years. So probably 1990, 2000. Yeah, about 20 years. Yeah. But we've been breeding, so we've been breeding and selling. So it's been sitting at that number for a bit, crept up. But some I just couldn't part with.
Right.
Yeah,
I agree.
And so what happened at this stage was because I'd become an accountant, which, as I said, everybody thinks is hysterical, and then I got the opportunity to become a partner in my firm, and I always refer to myself as an accidental accountant because it wasn't something I chose; it kind of happened, and I became an accidental partner because
you have wonderful accidents happening.
Yeah. What happened there, and this is probably, so the horses have always been there, but the helping people came about because of this becoming a partner, because up until that stage, I had always been a really good technician. Like, I was a great scientist and I was a great accountant, but I was dealing with, chemicals and tissue or numbers and computers and not really dealing with people. A little bit dealing with some clients, but not a lot. And I was mostly just getting my work from other people. And all of a sudden, I'm a partner. We had 35 employees in the firm. And at that stage, we had 3 partners. And I was suddenly given a team of people to look after. And no management training, no skills. I ditched the HR part when I was, and accounting can be pretty brutal in the way people come up through the system and how they've been trained and I didn't have that. I'd come from a different system. So even though I had, I hadn't had accounting drummed into me from, the thing. So this whole time, like 6-minute units of time, and you have to account for everything, and you've got to bill everything, and you've got to, and I started, I found that I had completely different approach to management was the accepted method of management. It's not that either was necessarily right or wrong, but it was just different. And I started to cave under the pressure of it. There was
Did you get backlash though with your different approach?
Yeah, it was a constant. I think at the time I blamed everybody else but me. But when I look back at it, I know how much was actually internal and coming from me. So, but yes, there was disagreements about the way things should be done, and I think it's really funny that we got these business coaches in, which is how I ended up doing coaching, which is part of the story. But we were having this meeting because the communications between me and my senior partner had got really bad, like really bad, and so we're having this facilitated discussion between the two of us with the coach who was, facilitating this conversation about stuff. And the coach asked my partner, what do you think Lynn's greatest strength is? And without hesitation, he answered, her compassion. And I hit the roof. I was so upset. And people say to me, well, why were you upset? And I said, because at the time, to me, what I heard, which wasn't what he was saying, but what I heard was, she's useless because we can't charge for that.
Oh.
So I'm going, he doesn't value that because we can't charge for it. Now, that's not what he meant, and now looking back on it, I realized it. But at that stage, with everything that was going on, that's how I heard it. Mm-hmm. So that's what I mean about, a lot of it was internal, that whole I'm not good enough stuff. And
that's pretty common, though. We tell ourselves our own stories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And also the whole, I'm not being heard because, how much am I not being heard because I'm female, and how much am I not being heard because I'm, that all of that sort of stuff was going on. But what it led me to was deciding that I wanted to do the coaching, because I could see how good that was for us, for the firm. Mm-hmm. And I thought, this is what I want to do. I want to be able to do this for my clients, because one of the things that when you're in a country practice like we were, was that often as an accountant, you are the only trusted advisor some of those people have. So it's not just about their accounts and their tax. It's they, I've had people sitting there in floods because I'm the only person they could talk to about the suicide of their daughter, or things like that. So you actually become. You have, and that's when you go, and I'm going, oh my God, and I can't charge them for this. That's the sort of, but you listen to their stories, and I guess, so that was a large part of it. And I tried to bring the coaching into the firm, but it just wasn't going to work. So I ended up leaving the partnership and going out with a business coaching firm for a while. And all the time, the horses were there. They were just, they were just what kept me going, went through these dark times that I was having. And somebody said, "Oh, we've heard about these people who do coaching with horses. Well, have you thought about, bringing your horses into it?" And I went, "Oh, no. They're what keeps me together. I don't want to make them work. They're my solace. They're my sanity. I don't want to have to make that." And so went along like this for a while, and then I met another woman coach who didn't have horses. She actually came to me because she was looking to buy one, and she had been looking at this coaching with horses things, and that's partly why she wanted to buy one. And we got chatting, and we got on really well, and found out that we had similar sorts of ideas. So I came round to this idea that we could use the horses in coaching, and the name of our business is Horsanity. And the reason,
I love that. I think that is so funny. It's cute.
And it came about because the horses are what keep us sane. So, the horses are our sanity. And it's like, so then it became, well, how can we take that to other people?
Mm-hmm.
And at that stage, we were very corporate orientated because, I'd come out of business. She'd come out from executive coaching and professional development and all of that sort of stuff. And then we brought in another woman who had a similar sort of background. So we were working more at that stage with companies and businesses. And then I ran the part of the Pharmacy Society of Australia's Young Leaders program for about 7 years till they stopped the whole program this year, unfortunately, just before the virus hit.
Oh.
And just a change of direction for them. But and what I found was that working with the horses in my work means that I'm able to live my passion and help people at the same time. And I have never found like they are so grounding and so present,
Mm-hmm.
that when you're working with them, I stay grounded and present, and our clients become grounded and present. And then when you're in that state, that's when all the possibilities open up for you. So it
sounds like a win-win situation all the way around.
Yeah. And in terms of, and we like to work outside in nature. I've got an arena. It's got a slight bit of cover over one end, but mostly we're outside, under the sun, hearing the birds, feeling the elements. And to me, that's a large part of it because, people are stuck in their offices and stuck in these boxes, and to get them out, even being in nature starts to lower the stress levels, and being with the horses lowers the stress levels. And that's when you can see solutions, and that's when you can be more creative, because you've got the space to do it. And it's one of the things I really care strongly about is our environment and nature and the planet. And I think a lot of people just don't get the opportunity to appreciate that.
Yeah.
You live in the middle of a big city and you work in a big office, and unless you make a conscious effort, it's all out there. It's not what you're living. So to me, part of the work is working with people to get them unstuck, like I was. Sort of like the coaching gave me the opportunity to change my life. So it's about giving people that opportunity to blossom and change their life. And because sometimes we're really successful, we're really good at what we do, but we feel stuck, like it's like we're in the wrong place, and like we've got the wrong skin on or something, and we don't know how to get out. Mm-hmm. And so this is so what I see that we're doing is giving people that opportunity to either reignite their passion where they are because they've got over something, or the opportunity to look to do something different. And so that's part of it. That's the human side of it. But the other side of it is, like, we talk about getting together, people, like-minded people who are all working towards a better future for the world. you know, where we're all more compassionate and empathetic and communicative, and, you know, all of the stuff that's roiling around is not there, and we can care for the place where we live so that it's looked after, you know.
Mm-hmm. So what was your first aha moment when you actually started working with your horses and your clients? Like, was it immediate, or, you know, when you started doing all of this, or did it come further out, or like, you know, because we know that it's a passion and we love it.
Yeah.
But at first you were a little hesitant because you didn't want to disrupt your horses' lives, right? So when did you get that aha moment that this is a good thing, it's going to work?
Yeah, I guess actually one of the interesting things, I did some study. I went over to Germany and did some training over there and worked with their horses, which was so I was there as a, you know, the training is you're a client and then you work in it, so you get the experience of it. And we hadn't actually got ready, but I had been, like, we hadn't started our business in Australia as really. We were, you know, doing all the stuff to get ready, but hadn't got any clients yet. And one of the guys who I had been talking to in England who does this work said, look, I'm in a bind. I've double booked, but I need to be in Thailand to do this big corporate extravaganza horse training thing. And he had a fantastic relationship with a international company that put all their managers worldwide through this management program, of which the horses were a core part.
Can you hold on just one moment, Lynn? Sorry. Ariani, my granddaughter is here. My grandchildren are here. So she opened my office door. You need to close the office door right now, please.
Okay.
This is real life, right?
Yep, that's right. We're live.
Close the door, please. I'm doing an interview right now. Close the door. Thank you. Close the door. Okay. Right. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay. So, yeah. So, So he, so they, you know, so they go somewhere and they find some horses to use, and they do this management, that they do this training. And he had booked this one for for Thailand. So I said, yep, I'll be in. I'm fine. I'll be there. Thinking that I was just going to be assisting, because there was him and another trainer and then me. And so I was working with him for the first day, and then he had to go back to England because he had something else on, and then that left the two of us. And then at this stage, they had massive floods in Thailand. So that was all, so we couldn't go there. So we lost, 25 of the people who were supposed to be coming, and they ended up running it in Singapore. So I went to Singapore, and we had, for the first part of this, when you're doing it with other people's horses, is you have to go through and select the horses you're going to use, because the important thing is that the horses are safe for people. So they don't need any other training, but we just need to know that they're going to be safe, around other people.
Right.
So we went through this and selected the horses that we were going to be working with, and they're riding school horses. So
say that again. I couldn't hear you.
Riding school horses. So horses, yeah. So, which is different to my horses. My horses live as a herd. They live much more naturally. But these horses are in stables, they get pulled at, 5 times a day, different persons on them. They go round and round and round and all of that sort of stuff. So they have kind of like corporate horses, they're sort of like, so we worked with them, and that was fine, and we'd worked with the people, which was really interesting. But what was amazing is how the horses changed, because we were different with them than the life that they normally had. So the horses started to wake up.
Oh.
Because they were being allowed to do something different, which was interesting. But the other thing is our group were, we had a couple of people from, I think we had a Nigerian, somebody from Singapore, a group of a couple of Australians, but the majority of the clients were Indonesian. And I think what was really powerful for me was how this was able to cut through language barriers.
Oh.
So the communication between the people and the horses is the same no matter. So like it cuts right across, because we did some. They were all very good they were proficient in English, but it wasn't their first language. So they're processing with the horses in their own language, which meant that it was much more powerful for them because it didn't have to go through that filter of translation. And seeing that and seeing how powerful it was for this group of people who had not any experience, and how liberating it was for the horses as well, that's when I went, yeah, no, this is going to work.
How much of a span of time was that all of this was happening?
That particular group, there was 2 days with the horses and then 2 days with sort of human on human coaching. It was an amazing program. They had all sorts of things. They had actors that role played, and we did we put people through different sort of experiences over. So I think we did 4 lots of people over 2 days.
Oh, interesting. Wow. And so what happened after that? Did you just go back to Australia and get things rolling right away, or how did it work out for you?
Yeah. So I went back, and then we started putting some programs together, and getting people involved in those. The normal finding clients and explaining.
Because you were still in a partnership as well, right?
No, I'd left by this stage. Yeah,
oh.
I'd left my accounting practice, and I'd been doing the business
but with the other girl who.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
your partnership.
Yeah, So there was 3 of us for a while. Now there's only 2, because the one that I started with it moved to Tasmania, which made it a bit hard because that's like the other end of the country, and she's doing some amazing large scale work now. It's more of a not social justice, but like a bigger picture thing, which is too big for what we're doing with the horses. So myself and the other partner Pam, we're still working together in this arena.
So did you come alive? Do you feel like when you finally started your business with these horses, and did you feel like it just woke you up and it made you feel like so excited? Because I always talk about how everyone needs to have something to get excited about when they wake up in the morning, instead of going through the day in and daily grind. And sometimes it's not anything that you wake up going, oh, I am so excited to start my day, or however you want to word it, right? So
my day-to-day here is looking after the horses themselves. Because we don't have clients here all the time, and it's too tiring for the horses, it's too tiring for us, because there's so, and of course we're not doing any workshops at the moment, which is I'm looking at how do I take the work that I'm doing in an online where I don't actually physically have the horses with me, but we talk about it's coaching enriched by the wisdom of horses. So it's what they have brought to us that we can then put into a different arena. But hopefully soon we'll be able to do live workshops again and have clients working with the horses. So we're gradually opening up.
As soon as your country allows you to open up.
Yeah, we're a little there's a few concerns about liability and all of that to start with, but we'll be able to do it soon. So my day is spent with my horses, so that's lights me up to start with. And one of the things we're talking to people about is we talk about a stillness practice, and it's just essentially just a grounding and a breathing and a short meditation. But I do that every morning with the horses. So I'll go out to the paddock and we'll stand around and they'll stand around with me. And
share with all of us how you do that. I've never done that with a horse, so I want you to try and explain it to us.
Okay, so
as best as you can without the horse being there.
Yeah, so stillness is following the breath. So it's a mini meditation, I guess. So it's about becoming centered and grounded, and then just following the breath and allowing the thoughts to just move in and out, and just becoming really, really present in that moment. And the reason why it works, it's how horses, they're not big on touchy-feely. They do touch and they do groom each other, but their cohesion, their social bonds, etc., are created out of just hanging out.
Oh.
They just love to just. So if I go in, and I center myself, let my energy come down, and just not deep breathing, but just following a natural breath. And they'll come in and they'll just stand around me, and their heads will lower, and we'll all just stand there in this. And it's very simple.
So it's not necessarily you going up to the horse and starting your breathing.
No, they'll come to me, because they're attracted to that calmness, to that, and I know that I'm getting it right when they come to me. They'll come to you at other times and be a bit pushy and whatever, because they think you might be going to feed them or that sort of stuff. But when I do this and I'm calm, they just come and they'll just line up. They'll just stand around. They'll just hang out with me, and that's their comfort. That's their safe place.
When they get pushy, it sounds like typical child or teenager when they're hungry.
Yeah. Then they want something,
right? Yeah.
Or they want you to do something. Yeah. But yeah, but it is. It's just and of course, we don't have to have the horses is the way I do it, because I enjoy doing it outside. But anybody can do that. And if you're, it's like, if you're, and it's like a transference as well. So if you've got people who are upset and excited around you, if you're able to center yourself that way, you can, bring the tension down and bring,
Interesting. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't know that. I mean, I don't know if I've ever learned that when I was a preteen or teenager taking horseback riding lessons. I don't think they had things like that back then. That was a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, I ride myself, but we don't do any riding as part of the workshops with people. It's all on the ground, and mostly with the horses at liberty, so that they can choose to be part of it or not. They can choose to engage with people or not.
How many horses do you allow in the arena where you are with a client at one time?
Well, we usually have 5 or 6 horses. Depends on the number of people. We try and have a couple more horses than there are people. So our public workshops have a maximum of 6 people in them. So we maybe have 6 or 7 horses. Yeah.
Well, I would love for you to share a story from a client who, of course this is confidential, but anything that you can share, a success story of a client who was struggling with something or anything that you would like to share with us.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of some ones that are easy to talk about. Okay, so this was a this was a woman who had lots of enthusiasm. She was absolutely bounding with enthusiasm, but she was having problems at work with trying to get her team on board. And her comments were that, you know, I try and get everybody excited, and I'm so full of enthusiasm. She said, but they just all disappear on me, and I don't understand why. You know, I'm doing all the things that they say, you know, get everybody on board. And so, and she was a person who liked horses but hadn't been around one for a while. And so one of the experiments that we do, or the exercise that we do with people, is, you know, when first of all, they watch the horses from the outside to get an idea of communication and herd dynamics, and also some response themselves. But then we ask them to go in and meet the horses, and we always do that in a, you know, safe, calm, quiet way. Sorry, let's have it. And you know, we sort of give them a little bit of a safety talk about don't get stuck in a corner, don't get stuck between two horses, just, you know, not. And we open the gate, and they file in, and they find a space out in the paddock. We open the gate. She was first up. We opened the gate. Before the gate was even full, she straight in, like ran into the middle of the arena. She was so excited. And all the horses who'd been standing around, like, they went, oh my God, and choom, in every different direction. And she stopped, and she looked around, and she said, that's exactly what happens at work.
Oh, wow. So
for her, the rest of the day was about learning how to modulate her energy so that she'd had no problems in getting her energy up, but she needed to bring her energy down. And so she was able to, and once she started bringing her energy down, the horses would come into her. So it was about, when I take that back to work, how do I stop pushing everybody away with my enthusiasm, but actually attract them in?
That is powerful. Wow. Thank you so much for sharing that. So what are your plans now? I mean, now that we have this pandemic going on, and it's going to be a while before you can start meeting with clients again, what do you have going on that you'd like to share with our viewers?
So what we're doing is building an online membership, and which will specifically be for women who are in that stuck place, you know, in that, like, but we're in doing that, in taking them from being stuck to, you know, realizing themselves, being excited about their future, calm in themselves but excited about their future, and, you know, having been able to rewrite their story. I guess that's the main thing. Is like, you know, at this point you're telling yourself a story, and you need to change that story to go forward. So it's about that, you know, changing their story over that time. But in doing that, we're bringing the essence of the horses in some way. See, my other passion is photography. So I do a lot of I've traveled all over the world taking photographs of horses, as well as my own horses, so and other wildlife and everything as well. So visually bringing in the elements, as well as bringing in ourselves. So we're saying everything that we do when we're coaching people is embodying what we've learned from being with the horses, but visually we're going to be bringing it in as well. And I've even got videos. I've been videotaping my horses breathing. So like when we start teaching stillness, I've got this video of just what the horse, and it's just the lower, you know, face and its nostrils, and you can hear it breathing, and it's just little things like that will bring the horses into the online program.
That sounds fascinating. Is your membership open now?
No, not yet.
Not yet?
No, I have haven't opened it yet. No. So
Okay.
hopefully.
So if women are interested in getting into your membership, where can they go? Share with us so that they can contact you or go where you want them to go.
Sure. So our website is horsanity.com.au, which is no E. So it's horsanty.com.au. But we also have, and that's also on Facebook. And we've got a free group on Facebook called Horsanity Herd, which people can join. So, we're doing stuff in there at the moment while we're waiting to launch the membership.
Okay, wonderful. That sounds like a lot of fun. I think it's a lot of fun.
It will be. It will be.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
The group is at the moment, but yeah, the membership's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you so much. Is there any last words or any last thing that you'd like to share with everyone? Or
the only thing that, so this comes from, because we always do a circle, like an opening circle at the beginning of our workshops and a circle at the end. And one of the things that we share with people in that is our vision and what we're seeing. And the vision that I always bring is the vision. It's not our vision for the business, but it's just like my mental picture of what we're working towards is, when you're flying over a country and you see the lights of the cities, and to me, what we're doing, we're one of those lights, and there's people like us all around the world. There's people doing this work with horses all around the world. We're not, we all do it in our unique way, but we're not unique that we're doing it. And I see that network connected, with the lights going from one to the other. So if people are interested in this work, I mean, I'd love people to come and join my membership and do all of that. But there will be people in your local area or in your country or whatever that you can search out that do this sort of work, because it is amazingly powerful. So I'd recommend that anybody, I'm in a couple of international groups. So if people want to, if they want to contact me, I might be able to point them to some. There's people doing amazing work all over the world, and
I've heard of that. It does sound amazing.
Yeah. So.
Oh my goodness.
The fact that I'm here in Australia, and most of your listeners aren't, doesn't mean that they can't access something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love about having a business online, is that you can work with people from around the world, and on the opposite side of the world from you. So this is great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being here and sharing your wonderful story and how horses are so like something, they're something that we would have never thought that we could utilize them for, right?
Yeah.
They're very special animals.
They are. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I wish all the best with you in your work and your membership that's coming up soon.
Yeah. Oh, and when it does come up, it's going to be we've called it Wildly Wise Women. So there you go.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, I'll have all of your information on how to get in touch with you in the show notes. So
okay, fabulous.
So people will be able to find you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Janin.
You're welcome.
Lovely to meet you, and hello to everybody out there.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, you are a very compassionate woman, very kind. You seem.
I don't get angry about that anymore. I embrace
it in that way.
I know. I said I embrace that now.
Okay, Lynn. Thank you so much. You have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Janin. Bye.
Okay, take care. Bye.
Bye.